like one of the most important or common essay questions as well. And the two types of essays they ask you, so before we even start, I'll show you the essays here. They either ask, there is a market failure in XYZ, like it could be smoking, or it could be nursery schools, or it could be like whatever, something with a market failure, and they'll say, what's the best intervention? Okay, and then the other scenario is they'll say, in this market, should governments intervene or not? Should government intervene or leave to the free market?
Okay, I think that's what I was got on for my exam, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, basically. So we're going to go through all the types of market failure and all the types of intervention, and then this will be the essay most likely. Okay. So, first of all, what is a market failure?
It's like a misallocation of resources.
Yeah, it's a misallocation of resources, okay?
Yeah.
Except if it's a complete market failure, then it's a missing market.
Oh.
So this one's quite rare, but that would be about public goods.
Oh, okay.
So that's the first type. Let's just get that one out of the way. You define public goods as non-rival and non-excludable.
So what's like an example of a public good?
Street lamps.
Oh, the
Everything that we see provided by the government is a public good, okay? They're non-excludable because once the government or once somebody turns them on, there's no way of stopping another person from enjoying it. So I can't stop you from being somewhere near the street lamp.
yeah. Okay.
And so that's non-excludable. I can't exclude you from benefiting from it or from trying it. Okay. And then non-rival is basically that it's kind of a bit unlimited. So it means that if two people are under the street lamp, if a third person is there, they get the same benefit from it. They don't get less light, right?
Yeah.
But a private good is rival and excludable. So a chocolate bar, okay, I can stop you from buying it because I'll put it behind the till and I'll make sure you pay and scan the barcode. I can put a barcode on the chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's rival because if you eat half a chocolate bar, then I only get half a chocolate bar. Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
But if you stand under a street lamp, I still get the full street lamp.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So excludable is about like permission and rival is about benefiting.
Okay.
So there's a market failure. This is a complete market failure. If there's public goods, it's called the free rider problem. So because of the non-rival and non-excludable nature of public goods, so because of this, no one pays for public goods. And therefore, no one would provide public goods. So, if it was left to us as private people to make a street lamp market, that would never exist.
Yeah.
Because no one would pay for it. People would free ride instead. That means if I pay to switch on the street lamps outside, you're not going to pay. You're just going to walk through it.
Yeah.
Because there's no way of telling that you haven't paid or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay? And there's no need for you to pay once it's on.
Yeah.
Other public goods are like parks and stuff. So parks are non-excludable because you can just climb over the gate or walk into the park. Okay.
Yeah.
If you had a really, really tall gate around the whole park, then you could make it excludable.
Okay.
So that would be partially excludable, and it would be like it would be called a quasi-public good, but that's not that important.
Okay.
And a park is non-rival because there could be 50 people inside the park, and the 51st person would still have the same benefit until maybe it gets so congested, like in a festival or something.
Yeah.
Okay. But unlimited people can't have the same chocolate bar.
Yeah.
So there'll be a missing market, and there's only one appropriate government intervention. Okay? They provide the good to everyone. Okay? So once they notice that a good is a public good, that it's non-rival and non-excludable, the government would say, it's fine, we'll provide it for everyone. Okay? Cool. The next market failure is externalities. This is way more common because there's a lot more, as a question, because there's a lot more you can argue about. With public goods, it's almost straightforward that, okay, this is the problem, the government should give the public good to everyone.
Yeah.
With externalities, there's a lot of debate. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So an externality is a cost or benefit to a third party.
Yeah.
Outside the market mechanism. Okay. Basically, this means the buyer and seller. Okay. So this means anybody other than the buyer and seller.
Yeah.
So if you get a vaccine, okay, you know that you're going to be safer from a virus,
Yeah.
and the person selling you the vaccine knows that they're going to make money off you, or it could be the NHS or whatever.
Also, strangers benefit, isn't it?
Exactly. Then the third party also benefits,
Okay.
okay, because they're less likely to catch something off you.
Yeah.
Similarly, if you smoke, you are going to benefit because you probably enjoy smoking. Okay.
Yeah.
And the person selling the cigarettes would know that they're making money, but there'll be a third party, for example, the NHS, who might have to help you when you get ill. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
The same with junk food.
Okay.
And obviously, with one person, it's not that much, but it adds up when it's the whole country. So
Yeah.
that's why the government need to intervene when there's this misallocation of resources.
Yeah.
So demerit goods are overconsumed. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the misallocation of resources. They're not at the ideal amount of consumption. They should be consumed at a little bit. They should be consumed a little bit, not as much as they are. And then merit goods are underconsumed. Okay, so a merit good would be something like apples, or textbooks, or courses, or something like that.
Okay.
Okay, or gym memberships.
Yeah.
Overall, there's 4 types of externalities. Okay. There's positive externality in consumption. There's negative externalities in consumption. There's positive externalities in production. And there's negative externalities in production. So, positive in consumption is something like a gym membership. Negative in consumption is something like junk food. So these are good or bad when you actually use the item. Production externalities are good or bad when you make the item. So it doesn't matter if it's good or bad, okay? When you use it. So maybe a book could be a negative externality in production if you're cutting down trees.
Yeah.
Okay? So a book might be good, it might be bad, depends what book it is. But if they'll tell you that it's more of a production issue.
Okay.
And then the production of new roads could be good. So just making new roads allows people in the future to build shops on it or live there or stuff like that. Or a new airport runway. But that's hard to think of examples, so don't worry too much about that one.
Okay. Cool.
The diagram is the hardest bit for this topic. But I think we went over it a bit last time.
I can't remember.
So you've got costs / benefits on the y-axis, and then quantity on the x-axis. Okay?
Yeah.
First time you see it, it's going to be weird. By the third or fourth time, you'll get it.
Or is it the upside down one?
It's the one with like 4 lines or 3 lines.
Oh.
So, the first thing I do is I draw my supply and demand. But I name them differently. So draw what you think is supply and what you think is demand.
Yeah.
Now don't name them as supply and demand. This one is marginal private benefit. It's talking about how much the consumer benefits from something.
So is that up on MPC?
Yeah, that's marginal private cost, and it's basically how much it costs to make the item or how much the seller gets from selling the item.
Okay.
We do that for all of them. Okay, that's the first step. Then, for the consumption ones, we just write equals MSC. Okay? So for this one again, first step, draw your supply and demand, MPC, MPB, and name that equals to MSC.
What's MP? What?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Do the same here, okay? MPC, MPB. Okay, and then the same here, MPB, MPB. But for these, it's a consumption externality. Wait, I've done it wrong for this one. Because it's the wrong... I thought it was the one on the top right. So if it's consumption, then there's nothing wrong with the production. So that's equal to MSC. And that's equal to MSB. And that's equal to MSB. Okay. So MPB is how much I benefit when I buy McDonald's.
Okay.
MSB is how much society benefits when I buy McDonald's. MPC is how much it costs McDonald's to make the burger. MSC is how much it costs society to make the burger.
Okay.
Okay, so private is about the buyer and the seller. Society is about the buyer and seller plus everyone.
Okay.
Then the benefit, the demand shape curve, is about the buyer, and the up shape curve is about the seller.
Okay.
Okay, they're just weird names.
Yeah.
Now, in this one, it's a negative, it's a positive in consumption. So this is like a textbook, okay?
Yeah.
If I benefit by X, let's say my let's say when I buy a textbook, it benefits me of a score of 100. Okay.
Yeah.
How much will it benefit society? Will it be more than 100 or less than 100?
It'll be less than 100.
If I buy a textbook.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, like, I get to learn from it and help people after.
Oh. But then it might be 100 as well.
It'll be over 100, right?
Yeah.
If I buy an apple, if I eat an apple, is it going to benefit society or make it worse for other people? Is it going to be
won't
good
benefit it.
if I buy an apple?
Oh, it will, because you'll be healthier.
Yeah.
So the NHS will.
Yeah, so somebody else is going to be happy that I have an apple, right?
Yeah.
So then society is going to be higher than my private. Okay?
Okay.
MSB. Okay?
Yeah.
If I buy McDonald's,
Yeah.
is society going to be happy or sad about it?
Sad.
Why?
Because you're going to be unhealthy.
So then society will be lower than private. This basically means that I benefit by £100. Society's £20 unhappy. Overall, the society benefit is 80 because it adds up mine and everyone else.
Okay.
These ones are different. So positive in production. If it costs McDonald's, no, something that's positive. So if it costs a company £100 to make some new roads, we're going to be happy about it. So the overall cost to society is going to be less than that original £100.
Okay.
And then if we do something that has a lot of pollution, okay, let's say there's some nice clothes, but it's in a bad factory,
Yeah.
society is going to be unhappy about that, okay?
Yeah.
So the cost to society is going to be that private cost plus more.
Okay.
Basically, remember the steps. That's the most important thing. So you have your private equals private, yeah?
Yeah.
And then one of them will be higher or lower in every single diagram.
Okay.
The next thing is how to label the diagram. Wherever private equals private is your demand equals supply. So this is the private equals private. So I go down. This is my Q1 and P1.
Okay. So that's the equilibrium.
Yeah. Here private equals private. So that's my P1 and Q1. Private equals private. Q1 and P1. Private equals private. Q1 and P1.
Yep.
So equilibrium is wherever MPC equals MPB. And then society optimum is wherever MSC equals MSB. This is where we want to be instead, okay?
Yeah.
So wherever this one equals this one, okay?
Yeah.
So then, I don't need to put the price, by the way, but that's my Q star. So I want to be there.
But why though?
1 second. So, okay. So my marginal social benefit is telling me how much each extra person benefits in society from making it. No, from making it or using it, okay?
Yeah.
In this case, it's consumption, so the MSB curve tells me how much each extra person benefits from using a gym membership. Okay?
Yeah.
If that's higher than my MSC, okay, that means it's good for society. I should use it. I should ask for more of it. Okay, it's still higher. It's still higher. It's still higher. After this point, for whatever reason, it's costing more than it's benefiting. So that's my option.
Oh,
It's similar to MC equals MR. Yeah? It's similar to MC equals MR.
Yeah.
At that point, you just stop. Okay? So then I go down. Q star. And now think about it. This is a positive thing, like gym memberships or new roads. So my Q star is higher than my Q1. So this is under-consumed.
oh, okay.
And that is the market failure. Okay.
Yeah.
And then this one, my Q star is where MSB equals MSC. That's my Q star. It's over-consumed. Junk food is over-consumed. Okay.
Yeah.
And then lastly, it's here. Okay. Last thing, point to the socially optimum and draw a triangle. That's your welfare loss from where you are. That's what you can improve. So my Q star is here.
Yeah.
So I need to draw a triangle going into it. Okay.
Okay.
My Q star is here. So I need to draw a triangle pointing into it.
Okay.
My Q star is here. No, here. So I need to draw a triangle pointing in towards it. And my Q star is here. So I need to draw a triangle pointing into it.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We'll go over the diagrams again and you can draw them. Okay. Before we move on to the intervention, because that's the next step, what government should do to fix it, let's just understand fully why does this happen again and again. Okay. So buyers and sellers are rational. Okay. But rational also means selfish. Okay.
Yeah.
So they think to maximize their own utility. So if they think they'll enjoy a burger, then they'll have a burger. Nobody goes to a chicken shop and thinks, oh, I might have to go to the doctor in 7 years. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's what happens. Okay? And also, they could be selfish, or you could argue that they're being like unknowledgeable. Okay? So they could be selfish, or they could lack information. Okay?
Yeah.
Cool. So government intervention could mean, one, you could tax it or subsidize it. Okay, so a tax could cause less people to buy something. A subsidy could cause more people to buy something.
Yeah.
You could put a minimum or a maximum price. So a minimum price would make things more expensive. A maximum price would make things cheaper.
Okay.
Or you could ban it or enforce it. So you could regulate something. So either ban it or enforce it. For example, people have to go to school until they're 18, right?
Yeah.
So you're enforcing school because you know it's a positive externality.
Okay.
Okay. Or you could ban something like if you're under 18, you can't smoke.
Yeah.
Okay. So they saw like a lot of people were buying vapes when they're going to school. So they started banning the shops who were selling it to people without checking properly, right?
Yeah.
Or like Red Bull, they made like a minimum age of 16 or 14 or whatever it is
Yeah.
to buy Red Bull. Or they could provide information, sorry. So a tax is a cost of production that causes supply to
Become more expensive.
supply shifts which way? Left or right?
Left.
Yeah. Okay. A subsidy is a payment that causes supply to shift right.
Yeah.
To the diagram for a tax. Do you know it?
What?
The tax diagram?
Is it just a left shift and
Yeah, that's the
Supply.
first thing. And then do you know what to label?
no.
Cool. So let's get a new equilibrium. P2 and Q1. So we've reduced back to, sorry, Q2. So if we think back to this one, remember how we were over consuming?
Yeah.
The aim was to reduce supply, right?
Yeah.
And look what we've done. We've reduced supply. So this is clearly solving the market failure.
Oh.
Okay, now we can evaluate. One added benefit is that go to your new supply and draw a line to the old supply. This is your revenue. Tax revenue. Make sense?
Yeah.
So that's how much they're collecting, because all that extra price is going to the government.
Yeah.
The top part is the burden on consumers. The bottom part is the burden on producers. You can think of it as it's closer to the demand curve, like over here. So that's why it's the consumers and that's the producers. That's how you can remember that top is consumer, bottom is producer.
Okay.
Yeah. So is that good or bad?
This is good
Yeah, why?
because the government can have more money to spend now.
On other stuff, right?
Yeah.
And especially, you can link it to the question. So if it's asking about junk food, you can say that the tax revenue is going to go to subsidizing healthier alternatives,
Oh yeah.
or to the NHS, or to subsidizing gym memberships.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
But you could also argue that every once in a while, if somebody has a sugary drink or something, it should be their choice and they're not really harming anyone from it. So it's just the government trying to make extra money without thinking it through carefully.
Yeah.
And lower income people are struggling the most. Okay? Because it's people on low incomes who are more likely to buy a can of Coke because it's just a cheap something that tastes nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're gonna struggle to pay the extra from 60p to £1 every week, whereas somebody with a lot of money, this won't impact their health. They're still gonna be buying it.
Yeah.
Okay, because that 20p extra doesn't make a difference to them.
Yeah.
That's when you bring in the next evaluation, which is elasticity. A lot of demerit goods like smoking or alcohol or junk food is very inelastic. Okay, so you draw the diagram in a different way. So if I drew an inelastic demand curve and two normal supply curves, look what happens. My Q star was probably over here, right?
Yeah.
And look, my quantity barely falls at all.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's inelastic. So even if the price increases a lot, this is what happens, okay?
Okay.
And this is my tax revenue. All of this. And all of this. And the blue bit, who pays the blue bit? The consumer or producer?
The consumer.
And the red bit is the producer.
Yeah.
So that's backing up the previous point that if you make something like petrol, let's say somebody argues that petrol is a negative externality in consumption because driving causes pollution, right?
Yeah.
But people are still going to drive because they have to, because it's somewhat of a necessity.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you could argue that the demand for it is inelastic, and then you could argue that taxing it will not even reduce consumption, and therefore it won't improve health or the environment, but it will just allow the government to make a lot of money, which they don't deserve. They're just taxing people who are just going about their daily life.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's how you get the A star, by talking about stuff like this.
Okay.
And then same with subsidy in reverse. So if it was a subsidy, supply would shift to the right, and your evaluation would be opportunity cost, okay?
Yeah.
Because they're paying people to consume vegetables. Okay?
Yeah.
So if they made vegetables cheaper at schools around the whole country or in canteens, then there would be an opportunity cost to that, okay?
Yeah.
That money could have been spent on other stuff as well. So you have to be very careful about spending so much money. Okay?
Yeah.
But they're also good to relate to each other. So you could say you could fund the money by taxing smoking. And then use that money to fund subsidizing gym memberships.
Yeah.
And then elasticity is still a good point. And then other stuff like you can talk about how it's personal choices and it's unfair to think about like how people don't consider other people's the impact on society and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think minimum prices and maximum prices you already know because it's the same in labour markets.
Wait, what's
A
it's
minimum-
like minimum wage.
Yeah, it's the same
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
So price, quantity.
There's a horizontal line, right?
Yeah. Do I put minimum price below or above the equilibrium?
Minimum will be above.
Yeah, so if I put a junk food minimum price, okay. My new quantity will be here. Okay. So it does work. Okay.
Yeah.
It does work, my quantity does fall. But it's unfair. Look at this. This is excess supply. And then that can impact firms. Firms can go out of business.
Yeah.
And also it's even worse than a tax, because with a tax, the money was going to the government. This one, the money's just going to private sellers of stuff like junk food. So it's just going to benefit or impact McDonald's.
Yeah.
So maybe they could benefit from higher prices. Or maybe they could be upset because there's excess supply and they might have to shut down some stores.
Yeah.
But that depends on elasticity, and as we know, it's probably inelastic. So McDonald's might just make a lot of money because of it. So the government wouldn't really do it. But that's your main evaluation, excess supply.
Cool.
The last one is providing information, and then you just talk about this. You can say like, all of these things lead to government failure, okay? Or have a chance of government failure happening, okay? So there's unintended consequences. Excessive admin costs. Imperfect information. Okay. So what do I mean by that? Unintended consequences is like excess supply. Okay, so we didn't expect that to happen. We thought, oh, cool, we'll put a minimum price, people will stop buying McDonald's.
Yeah.
But then McDonald's are complaining. That's an unintended consequence. Okay.
Yeah.
Excessive admin costs, imperfect information, all this stuff needs to calculate. How do they calculate the size of the social optimum? Okay. They're going to have to hire a lot of people and do a lot of maths and calculation and research and surveys.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they might forget about the elasticity. They might forget that it's inelastic. What then? They tax something and it's inelastic, so nothing even worked.
Yeah.
So one last way is providing information. Providing information might mean providing leaflets saying that McDonald's is bad, or that there are good healthy alternatives. Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
And then what that would do is it would just naturally. So this is for McDonald's, okay? So if they provided information on McDonald's, it would cause your demand curve to shift to the left, your MPV, and it would shift down closer to that. So that's your new MPV. So it's a natural way of removing the divergence between them.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because right now they're diverted. Why are they diverted? Because this guy's thinking, that's the private guy thinking, oh, I'll love some chips right now. Yeah?
Yeah.
And then the social guy's thinking, he's enjoying his chips, but we're going to have to pay taxpayers' money to the NHS after. Or there might be litter on the floor, and stuff like that. But if the guy's more educated about his choices, then he might demand McDonald's less, and then it would be closer to social benefit.
Okay.
Also, one very advanced thing is that the tax would affect supply. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then if you tax McDonald's on this diagram, this would just shift up. You just make that. Wait, hold on. Yeah, shift that. Yeah, that's what would happen.
Okay.
So you're basically making that go down so that you get to this stage. Don't know why that always happens. Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. So if you're evaluating like tax versus minimum price versus whatever, you just pick two of them. Okay,
Yeah.
and then you just talk about the things we said, so like excess supply. Okay?
Yep.
Or consider what?
Consider.
PED.
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Or subsidy. Consider opportunity cost.
Yeah.
Yeah? Or provide information. So you can say that's a natural way, but then what's the disadvantage of providing information? I never said it, but what do you think is the disadvantage of just like educating people?
Then they could just choose. They're just gonna choose what they want.
Yeah, it could be ignored.
Yeah.
We talked about it being inelastic to price, so if somebody's going to still buy something if it goes up in price, they're not going to listen to a leaflet, are they?
Yeah.
And then a good one that I always like to do is to link them together. So say tax McDonald's and use the money to subsidize gyms. Yeah, but you can do that as well in your conclusion.
Okay.
And then the last one is intervene or not intervene. Okay.
Yeah.
So why should we intervene in the first place rather than leave it to the market?
Because
The most obvious reason?
is it when they become monopolies?
Let's stick to externalities for now. So stuff like McDonald's or junk food or...
It's because too many. There might be too much selling of demerit goods.
But in the most simple terms, there is a market failure. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So that is the definition of government intervention. Government intervention is needed when there is a market failure. So we proved there's a market failure. Okay. So you just draw externalities diagram and show that social optimum is different to where we are.
Yeah.
So that's one paragraph. That's the whole paragraph. It's saying we should intervene. If we leave it to the market, then there would be these externalities. There'd be overconsumption or underconsumption. Cool. What's a reason to leave to market?
Is that the market fixes itself?
Yeah. So you could talk about signaling, rationing, and incentive.
Signaling is like when there's disequilibrium, right?
So all of these, if there's a disequilibrium, will fix itself. Yeah. So maybe we could start with that point before the externalities point and say generally when there's a small fault in the market, like if there's a shortage of apples, the market will fix itself, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So otherwise you're distorting the market. Yeah. So like don't distort the market. And you can talk about the minimum price and maximum price example and how that's a government failure. Yeah?
Yeah.
Then you could talk about other, you could talk about specific types of intervention working. So a tax would work because yeah?
Yeah.
So you literally just show a tax working and how you move to the Q star.
Yeah, and then it becomes expensive to buy it, right?
Yeah. So you're showing that it's actually working, so why would you not use it?
Yeah.
But then on this hand, you could talk about the government failure in more detail. You could talk about how
so governments make it worse sometimes.
yeah, exactly. And you could talk about, so with tax, we didn't consider elasticity.